Hi Wildcatters, my name is Garrett Fowler and I'm Chief Operating Officer at ResFrac. Today I'm going to walk through a little bit about what our product can do and how to use it. So to start, the company mission is really to accelerate that process of continuous improvement that operators are already engaged in. And the way we do so is by providing a modeling package that simulates the entire life cycle of a well from start to finish. And the benefits of throwing that process into a modeling cycle and iterating in a digital environment is that we can shorten the learning curve. We can take what would have been an extenuated process of trial and error in the field and do so in a virtual environment, therefore shortening the learning cycle. So to just demonstrate the capabilities of software, I've set up a simple simulation here of 5 wells. 2 parent wells are going to frac sequentially, one after the other, produce for 5 years. We're going to shut those wells in, and then we're going to simul-frac 3 wells, infilling those 2 parents. When I start the video here, you'll see the first parent well fracturing. We're going to go into the second parent well. Now they're going to go 5 years of production. You see pressure depletion. Now that simul-frac infill, and then we're going back into production and all 5 wells depleting once again. You saw those pressure and fluid saturation interactions happening from child to parent. We rewind, you can see the water from the child frac invading those parent fractures. That's going to result in damage in those parent wells. And we're going to be able to model this in a virtual environment and see those implications and mitigate against those before we try it in the field. So let me flip over to the software, and I've already created a simulation. So let's take a look. Let's open it up. And the first thing you'll see is that the user interface is laid out in a chronological order. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, the tabs in the simulator are laid out in the order that you would use to progress through inputting the data into this model. Additionally, there's help content embedded. I can always click the question mark if I have questions on that parameter. You'll see that that includes pictures and references. Here's a reference to the equation and method used by the simulator, as well as images that explain the implications of changing that parameter. You'd continue to progress down as you input your simulation deck, do a preview of what it is that we're building. If I open that up, what you'll see is a 3-dimensional preview. It has a single well landed in pay number 1, so I can turn on facies tops here, and you'll see that I have 2 pay zones in my model. My well is currently landed in pay 1. If I want to add a second well, I can easily do so. Under wells and perforations, I'm going to choose to import a well from a well survey, which I have pulled up in Excel. Measure depth, inclination, azimuth, paste that into the software, press OK. And now when I refresh, I'll see that both wells are landed in their respective zones. Again, I can turn those zones on by looking at my facies tops. Let's take a look at what that looks like once it's complete. I can open up a simulation, I can save layouts, so I've already opened this before, and I'm going to visualize it with a layout. Here we go. So what I've done is I've plotted my actual data versus my simulated data that allows me to history match to my observations and calibrate my model. Here my actual data are the dotted trends, my simulated are the solid. So you can see I'm matching both oil rates for both of the wells as well as GOR and water cut. Here's my injection schedule. Another thing we can do is we can plot those in RTA sense. Here I'm showing pressure and aperture, but I could also scroll down and look at something like proppant total mass, showing how much proppant is in the fractures and where it's distributed. And then I might look at how that's correlated with fracture conductivity. So again, a really important piece of doing these simulations is to look at the why of a result. And that's what the 3D image allows you to do. It allows you to interrogate the modeling result and see what was happening and why. So here we see conductivity, how it corresponds to the region of proppant. We also see that these unpropped tips still have residual conductivity because there is breakage of the rock. I can actually turn that into a sensitivity analysis. Say if I wanted to look at proppant loading, so just call it prop. And here if I edit in Builder, so if I come back to my injection schedule, I can open up, and here we see we're injecting the proppant. I'll select that sequence, right click and say add parameter. Now when I come to decision support, I'll create a new parameter group called proppant loading, and then I will assign my selected parameter to that parameter group. I'm given multipliers, and I can sample in a variety of ways, right? So I can sample linearly or logarithmically between two endpoints. So if I want to try from 0 proppant up to double the amount of proppant, I'd go 0 to 2, and then I would define a sampling scheme down below. So you can see user define. I'll choose uniform random, which allows me to define a number of Monte Carlo points. So say about 20, choose a different random seed if you're doing this several times. And it's automatically going to create 20 new cases for me that's going to vary the amount of proppant loading from 0 up to double of my base case. So I would go ahead and save. There's no validation warnings, exit, and I can run that. Now if we go back up a level, we can actually see the results of a sensitivity analysis. You can see I already ran one. Click post-processing. And what this is going to allow me to do is assess all of those simulations at once. So you can see I have some pre-populated properties in here. I'll go ahead and remove those and we'll do it from scratch. Let's go ahead and look at cumulative oil over time, how that varies. So I'll create a new target function here called cumulative oil. I'm going to take that at a point in time. I'm going to evaluate it at the end of the simulation, and I'm going to scroll down here until I find total oil production. So if I do a scatter plot, that'll allow me to look at all cases. Again, I ran 3 separate sensitivities here, so for simplicity, let's just look at one. If I show the plot, what this is going to do is plot up all the cases. So here we see as we pump more proppant, we get a trend of increasing propped area, and then we get increasing oil production as well. So it allows you to assess all these sensitivities very quickly. True power having a coupled simulator that allows you to do everything under one hood. As we depart here, just want to show you on our website, we have a full 3-day training course available to you. No registration needed. Just go to resfrac.com, ResFrac Fundamental Simulation Training. Full 3-day course covers the theory of fracturing, theory of fracture modeling, as well as button pushing going through the UI. Look forward to seeing you there.